Well, good afternoon, everyone. I believe it's even afternoon on the West Coast where Marc is, and Kristen. Really appreciate y'all being here today. I'm Craig McAtee, the Executive Director and CEO of the National Coalition of Advanced Technology Centers. And over the last few years, we've discovered in our large ecosystem of workforce development, training, and conferences across the nation that we were losing and not even having at the table the most important customer and product, if you will, of our college systems across the nation, and that's the students. And what do they think about all the things we think we're doing really well, preparing them for a new job, a first-time job, an advancement in a job, etc. And so it's like Marc Goldberg and I decided that we should try that out real time at one of our conferences a few years ago. And boy, was it overwhelmingly exciting. And I'll remind you at the end of the webinar today that we're having another student panel live and in person at our conference in Tacoma at the end of September. But today we're getting a little teaser. And Marc's pulled together a few really great students across the nation, and I'll let him introduce them in a minute. But we've entitled, with his help and the students' help, today's conference or webinar, I keep saying conference, sorry, Amplifying Student Voices. That's what we really want to hear more about and more what they think and how they're doing and what could be better, what we focus on more as administrators and faculty and industry people that hire the students all together at the ecosystem of NCATC. But the title is Amplifying Student Voices with a focus on women leading the way in advanced technology. And that's what we're all about at the NCATC, focused on everything from traditional welding, CNC operations, mechatronics, and industrial maintenance, all the way through robotics and artificial intelligence, where we have been for the last decade trying to keep up with all the new trends in technology. So I will introduce Marc Goldberg, who's a past board member of NCATC, one of my favorite people in the world, who has a passion for pulling together not only students, but people in our ecosystem across the nation, and has worked with many of our sister organizations as well as AACC, our mothership, as I call it, the American Association of Community Colleges, which we will be sharing this with as well as we record this. So I will turn it over to Marc and let you introduce yourself and then the students, and we'll look forward to closing us out with some questions and answers at the end of your time, Marc. Thank you for being with us, and thanks for all your coordination, Marc.
Yeah, thanks, Craig, for setting up this great webinar featuring really amazing students that I'll introduce in a moment. And I just wanted to thank you and NCATC's Board of Directors for continuing to find ways to center student voices at the conference and beyond, and really looking forward to this conversation. We originally had three student panelists, and unfortunately one of our three panelists, Rachel, had some unexpected turn of events, so isn't able to join us from down in New Orleans at Nunez Community College, but maybe in the future we'll find a way to bring her in because she's got a really amazing story to share in addition to April and Kristen. And so without further ado, I do want to introduce April and Kristen, who I've gotten to know through different conferences. So through the NCWE conference in the fall with April, that took place in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. And then Kristen, who I've gotten to know through the All In Student Pathways Forward podcast that I created and host, that gives voice, I hope, to more students through community college students across the country. Started in Oregon, in my home state, to really hear their stories, understand their experiences, and really get a chance to listen to and hear their solutions and recommendations. So for this webinar, what I'd like to do is introduce first April Langhorne, who is a student at Virginia Peninsula Community College, which is in Newport News, Virginia. So welcome, April.
Thank you. Hi.
Appreciate you joining us. And I'm not going to give your bios because I really think it's best that you both get a chance to sort of share your community college stories more directly. but wanted to introduce you first, April, and then also Kristen Meyer, who is a graduate of Southwestern Oregon Community College in Coos Bay, Oregon, and Southern Oregon, and is also a current apprentice with Machinist Institute and with a key employer in Coos Bay, Coons. So welcome, Kristen, to the webinar as well.
Hi, thank you.
So really looking forward to our conversations and figured it would be great to start and ask both of you if you could share more about how you found your way to your community college advanced technology program and what drew you to pursue this educational and career path. And would love to start with you, April.
All right. So if you had asked me 10 years ago that I thought I would be sitting on a panel talking about advanced technology education, I probably would have laughed. Um, my career has taken me to a lot of unexpected turns, and that's exactly what led me to Virginia Peninsula Community College. I spent my career in hands-on industries. I worked in wastewater treatment plants, nuclear maintenance, retail management, and now I work at the Newport News shipbuilding. And every one of these jobs taught me something different. But there was one thing they all had in common. I was always drawn to solving problems. What I started to notice was that whenever there was a computer issue, a software problem, or a question about technology, I was the person that people came to. I enjoyed figuring things out, and I realized that I could start a career with this instead of it just being a personal interest. So, going back to school as an adult wasn't a decision I made lightly. I work full time, I'm a mom, and like so many other community college students, I had responsibilities that weren't going to go away. Community college gave me a pathway that fit my lifestyle instead of asking me to put my life on hold. And that mattered to me. I chose information systems technology because I wanted to understand the technology that powers the world around us, not just use it. And along the way, I've earned my cybersecurity certificate. And that really opened my eyes to how critical technology is in every industry. Whether you're protecting networks, managing data, or supporting the systems that keep businesses running, technology has become the foundation of almost everything we do. One thing I've learned working at Newport News Shipbuilding is that advanced technology isn't about computers sitting on a desk. It's part of our manufacturing, engineering, logistics, communication, and national defense. Technology connects every piece together. That realization made me even more excited about where this degree could take me. Community college didn't just help me gain technical skills, it gave me confidence, leadership opportunities through serving as a presidential ambassador, and a chance to represent students like me, people who decide that learning doesn't have an expiration date. Looking back, I don't see returning to school as starting over. I see it as building on everything I've already learned and preparing myself for the next chapter of my career.
Thank you, April. That's so helpful to get to know and inspiring your journey to Virginia Peninsula, building on all of your rich experience in different industry sectors and your clear passion for information technology. And one thing that I heard you describe, which I know is really important to NCATC as an organization, as a former board member for the organization, is the industry recognized stackable credentials. So the fact that you were able to get a cybersecurity certificate as part of your 2-year degree in information systems technology is just a great milestone and momentum point. And it sounds like for you really reassured you that you were on the right path and you found something that you're able to really use the skills and experience you have and your passion and recognize the value and importance of cybersecurity across every industry, really, at this moment in time. So appreciate you sharing all of that, including your background as a returning adult student, as a parenting student, and we'll talk a little bit more about that further on in this conversation, and also being a presidential ambassador. So appreciate you sharing so much. And Kristen wanted to come to you and ask you the same question, how you found your way to both Southwestern Oregon Community College and Machinist Institute, and what drew you to pursue these educational and career paths in welding and machine tool technology.
Hi, so I was a former retail worker. I worked in grocery stores and I've worked customer service. So my main driver at that time was a livable wage. And so I always seek further education. I'll always be going to school, I think. So I went to SWAC and I decided that a trade is what I wanted to do. And they had the welding program at Southwestern Oregon Community College. And so I joined that program just to see how I would like it. And I ended up really liking it. So I continued on with that and got my 2-year degree with Southwestern Oregon in welding technology. Another big drive was to show my son how to live a good life and support yourself throughout life. And then when I graduated Southwestern Oregon, the instructor for the welding class, she got in contact with a local employer here. It's Kuntz Machine Inc. And they were offering a apprenticeship program, and I got into it. They hired me, and so I'm working with Renton Technical College and Machinist Institute, as well as Kuntz Machine, to get my journeyman license in machining.
That's also fantastic, and it's so interesting, Kristen, some of the parallels that you and April have, and we talked about this prior to the webinar, of some different past experiences in other fields like retail, also being parents, and really wanting to model for your kids at different ages opportunities, career opportunities in advanced technology. And I did want to follow up because I know when you talked about the welding program, I think you had shared too that it's a 2-year degree, but because there's so many industry certifications within welding, in that program at Southwestern, were there some stackable certificates along the way as well before you ended up as a machining apprentice at Kuntz?
Yes, there were stackable certifications. So the beginning year, you would get certified for the first year, just certified as you could be a shop hand at a welding or a welding support person. And then also they would certify you in your second year for welding processes. So I got certified in wire processes. So it's like spool guns or wire feed apparatuses. And that was a really good opportunity because those certifications cost quite a bit if you do it outside of like a schooling environment. So if you're just in the field and need to be certified for a job, it would cost you like $1,500 or more to get certified. So that was a really good opportunity. And then also, one thing I want to say is we're currently working with SWAC. They're ever developing their programs, and they're interested in developing a machine program that will give you certifications in the same way.
So similar stackable certifications in machining, similar, I mean, to other programs, say cybersecurity, IT, welding. And we do know that those certs are both meaningful because they may be a ticket to a job, the certification needed for employment, and they're also just sort of milestone confidence. In some cases, students feel like if they get that first cert, they can do it and they're going to continue forward towards the 2-year degree. So a motivator to keep going. And I think it's so interesting that you found through your instructor the apprenticeship in machining with a local employer, and we'll talk about Coos Bay in a bit, but to have that skill set of both welding and machining is just so dynamic in terms of future opportunities, because in smaller manufacturers, they may not be able to hire exclusive welders or machinists. So having those different skills, I think, will really be valuable, to Coons and anywhere else in the future. And so you've really had the chance to be part of a traditional college certificate degree program and now an apprenticeship that's tied to a community college, but really anchored in a local employer that is hosting the apprenticeship with Machinist Institute as a partner. So thanks for sharing that background. And I think for both of you, we know that advanced technology programs at community colleges across the country are unique in terms of the curriculum that they offer, the program design, the local employer partners that they have, the faculty and staff that provide the instruction and the support, and then even the facilities, because not any facility is exactly the same. But most of these advanced technology programs do have certain core elements in common. So some type of hands-on learning, curriculum aligned to industry standards, faculty with industry experience in advanced technology, meaningful credentials, as you both have elaborated on, strong connections to employers and job opportunities, some type of work-based learning, dynamic lab spaces, and more. And so I guess for each of you, I wanted to ask, and can start with you, Kristen, what elements of the program at Southwestern were most valuable to you? And could you say more about why that was the case?
So the most valuable thing that SWAC's welding program was set up, it was set up to work with our industry partners. So they actually went out into the community and talked to all potential employers for this type of degree and asked what do they need to know. So in our area, shipbuilding is a big industry as well as logging and general repair on equipment. And so that's kind of what they centered all the focus around. And they had lab stations set up for each type of process for welding and all the materials necessary. And another practice is to, conserve. You know, when you're working, you're conserving your consumable materials and gases. And so we learned that too. And they were really good on supporting our growth in the classes and me getting into the apprenticeship, supporting me getting a job and having a future.
So it sounds like the strong connection to employment opportunities, but even before that, just the alignment to local industry needs and in terms of welding, the types of welding, and even the lab design to support and align to the local industries in shipbuilding and timber and general repair. And I know you had pointed out too, when we spoke earlier, it's a different type of welding than, say, aerospace or other advanced manufacturing industries that may be in other parts of the state or the country, but very specific to Coos Bay, which has that rich history of shipbuilding and timber. So appreciate your thoughts there. And April, wanted to ask you the same question about what elements of the program were most meaningful to you or have been most meaningful to you at VPCC.
So one of the things I appreciated about Virginia Peninsula Community College is that everything we learned had a purpose. It isn't just about passing a test, it's about preparing us for careers. The faculty, they have been one of the biggest reasons I've enjoyed the program. They understand that technology changes quickly. So they don't just teach us what to memorize. They teach us how to think, how to solve problems, and how to continue learning after we leave the classroom. That's been really valuable to me because technology is always evolving. I've also appreciated that the curriculum reflects what employers are looking for today. As someone who's already working full-time at Newport News Shipbuilding, I can actually see those connections. Even though I'm not working in IT yet, what I'm learning has changed the way I approach problems at work. I ask different questions. I think more about how systems work together, and I have a better understanding of how technology supports everything we do. It's given me a completely different perspective. And another thing I value is earning meaningful credentials along the way. Completing my cybersecurity certificate gave me confidence because it showed me that I was building skills that have value in today's workforce while still continuing on with my degree. And finally, I think one of the greatest strengths of the program is the connection between the classroom and the real world, whether it's through faculty with industry experience, curriculum that's aligned with today's workforce, or opportunities to connect with employers. You can see the goal is to prepare students to be successful after graduation, not just while they're in school. For me, that's what has made this experience so valuable. Every class has helped me grow, not only as a student, but as a professional. It's preparing me for the next step in my career, and it's given me confidence that I can continue learning and adapting in a field that's always changing.
Thank you for sharing that, April. I found looking at other participants, folks are nodding who are on screen, and I realized I was doing the same for both of your comments. And so, I mean, you covered a lot of ground as well, and some similar ones in terms of the application to the workplace. I think for you, when you talked about how rapidly information technology is changing and that the program has helped you learn how to think and adapt as that technology is changing is really powerful. And to be able to apply that immediately in your job, which may not be IT specific currently, but still to have that carryover is fantastic. And as you touched on, the stackable credentials again, I know that that's a priority for NCATC and has been for adult learners, for all learners, really. So thank you for sharing all your thoughts there and that application from the classroom to the real world and understanding what employers are looking for. So thanks to both of you, Kristen and April, for sharing what's been what's been most meaningful in terms of the elements of your advanced technology programs, which are very different, both different parts of the country, coast to coast, really, Virginia to Oregon, and different industry sectors in some ways, and different occupations clusters. So thank you both for sharing that. I wanted to come back to where Craig started with the topic of this webinar. I mean, amplifying student voices, but women leading the way in advanced technology. And wanted to ask both of you, I mean, you have chosen career paths in advanced technology fields with good jobs that have historically been dominated, we know, by male workers. And meanwhile, many of these fields face an aging workforce and a shortage of talent and could benefit from diversifying their talent pool. And so wanted to ask each of you, or both of you, how do you think college advanced technology programs and employers in these fields can recruit and retain more female learners and workers to create better access to these good jobs and careers, and support education and workplace environments where all workers and learners feel like they belong? And would love to start with you, Kristen.
So my employer has been really good for that opportunity. I've had a lot of diverse people I work with. So one thing I've learned from that is that everybody thinks differently and you can't change the way they are. So you can change how you react to it. Um, my boss, the owner of this company, he has been entirely supportive and has led by example in that aspect. Uh, and I think that more employers or college institutions could just lay a standard of how to treat people and how to uh, operate in the workforce. Uh, And I think that would support female learners and workers to come and access this because they're not being pushed out right away.
So just building a culture where folks, regardless of gender, let's say, and other differences, feel supported, um, and that there's a standard and sort of professional work etiquette, um, and recognizing that people are bringing very different experiences to the workplace and to the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, appreciate your thoughts there. And April wanted to ask you the same question.
So I think recruiting more women into advanced technology starts long before they're filling out a college application. It starts with changing the picture people have of who belongs in these careers. When I was growing up, I don't remember seeing many women working in shipbuilding, cybersecurity, engineering, or other technical fields. If you don't see yourself represented, it's harder to imagine yourself there. That's why visibility matters. Colleges, employers, they should continue showcasing women who are already succeeding in these careers, not because they're exceptional, but because they have helped normalize the idea that women belong in these spaces. Once women enter these programs or careers, retention becomes just as important as recruitment. In my experience, people stay where they feel valued. They stay where they're given opportunities to learn, where they're challenged, where their contributions are recognized, and where they know their voice matters. Working at Newport News Shipbuilding has taught me that the ability isn't determined by gender. I've worked alongside incredibly talented men and women, and what I found is that the qualities that make someone successful are curiosity, a willingness to learn, resilience, and a strong work ethic. Those qualities aren't exclusive to anyone, they're developed through opportunity and experience. I also think mentorship is incredibly important. Having someone who encourages you, answers your questions, and reminds you that it's okay to not know everything on day one can make all the difference. None of us start as an expert. We all grow by learning from people who are willing to invest in us. And finally, I think we need to change how we define belonging. Belonging doesn't mean asking women to fit into an existing culture. It means creating environments where different perspectives are welcome because they make stronger teams. Some of the best ideas have come from people who bring a different way of thinking to the table. For colleges and employers, my advice is simple: keep doors open, but also make sure people want to walk through them and stay. When students and employers feel respected, supported, and given opportunities to grow, they're more likely to build long, successful careers. And that's good not only for women, but for our industries, our communities, and our future workforce.
Thank you, April. 100%. And there's a lot of ground you covered along with Kristen. I think the importance of visibility and representation mattering, and at an early age to see individuals who uh, look like the broader society in these occupations and industries, and then just uh, like the characteristics you described of effective workers, that having curiosity, willingness to learn, resilience, a strong work ethic, regardless of gender, not being defined, but those traits, and then the importance of mentorship. And could see, as both of you were sharing your thoughts, some emojis of applause there. So really think that your take on this question, along with the other ones, is really insightful. So thank you for giving it thought and sharing your experience and expertise. As female workers in these different advanced technology fields and learners, students, past students, apprentices. So I wanted to stay with you, April, and come back to something you talked about at the beginning, which is that you are a parenting student. And not only are you a parenting student, I know this from the conference last fall, but your daughter is also a student at the same community college at Virginia Peninsula simultaneously as you. So I wanted
Yeah.
to ask if you could talk about that experience and what it's meant to both you and your daughter.
So, sharing the experience with my daughter has been one of the greatest of my life. When people hear that we're both students at Virginia Peninsula Community College, they usually smile. But for us, it's so much more than just attending the same college. It's become something we've experienced together. And as parents, we spend so much time encouraging our children to believe in themselves, chase their dreams, and never stop learning. What I didn't expect was how much she would inspire me too. Watching her work hard, stay committed, and pursue her own goals has motivated me just as much as I hope my journey has motivated her. We've been able to celebrate milestones together, talk about classes, compare experiences, and encourage each other through the busy seasons. There have been times when we've both had assignments due, exams coming up, and life pulling us in all different directions. And we understood what the other was going through because we were living together or we were living it together. Having that built in support system has been the most enjoyable and meaningful experience. I also think our story reflects one of the things I love most about community colleges. They bring together people from every stage of life. In our case, it's mother and daughter from two different generations, both working towards goals on the same campus. That sends a powerful message that learning doesn't have an age limit and that education can bring families together in unexpected ways. One of my proudest moments has been watching my daughter grow into an independent young woman while also allowing her to see me continue to grow. As parents, we often teach our children through words, but I think some of the most important lessons come from what they see us do. I hope she's seen that it's never too late to challenge yourself, to learn something new, and to take a chance on your future. At the same time, she reminded me to stay curious, to keep growing, and to celebrate the journey, not just the destination. When we eventually walk across the stage and earn our degrees, it won't just represent two individual accomplishments. It'll represent a season of our lives where we learn together, encourage each other, and prove that education can strengthen not only careers but families. And that's something I'll always treasure.
That is really special. It's really powerful and touching, and what a unique opportunity, and so interesting the way you described it, April, of just sort of sharing that experience, but supporting one another,
Mhm.
and experiencing the ups and the downs and the milestones. And I think what I take most from your description there is just the modeling of lifelong learning, at all stages of life, as you said. So thank you for sharing more about your personal story with your family and Virginia Peninsula Community College. And so for Kristen, I wanted to ask you, we talked about this at the beginning a little bit. I mean, you've had the opportunity to participate in a traditional 2-year degree program at a community college in welding at Southwestern, and a really innovative apprenticeship program in machining with Machinist Institute and a key manufacturing employer, Coons, as you described, Coons Machine and Welding in Coos Bay. And this is in a pretty rural part of Oregon. So for folks who aren't familiar with Coos Bay, I've actually well, I know the state. I live here. I've had the vice president on the All In podcast before and the president, who both have described Coos Bay as like super rural, or I forget the exact term, but it's really, I mean, it's 2 hours from the closest interstate, and there's parts of the district that are really isolated. So it's a unique part of our state. And so I just wanted to ask you if you could share your perspective on the importance of strong education and workforce partnerships with local employers in a very rural community, and really how best to promote these career opportunities for local residents.
So I want to emphasize that Southwestern Oregon Community College has done their due diligence and outreach with community partners. And I didn't know that going there, but being now at Kuntz Machine, I have learned that they do reach out, and they actually came to us the other day, and my boss and I spoke with them about how they can align their programs to be viable for employment after. So they did a really good job on that far of outreach. One of the things I think we should do is reach out to the high schools and younger generation. And April touched on it pretty good, as being an example of you can see yourself in this position because there's someone like you as well in that position. And I think that would be the best way to promote these types of career opportunities for our local residents. So being rural, a lot of people go into the same field like as their parents or what they've seen. And so reaching out and showing these examples of these awesome trades and what you can do in them would promote these younger people to get into it.
And to then be able to stay in their local community with a good job, right?
Yeah.
Instead of feeling
Yeah.
like they have to leave because there aren't opportunities, because there are, and it's just in many cases awareness, and then that strong connection from the college to these employment opportunities, right?
Yeah, being a machinist, I actually never ever learned that there was such thing as machinist. I would call it a mechanic, but it's not. And so the outreach to the community, just going and talking to people and telling them about it, is really important around here.
And I think building on that, I know as much as NCATC has also prioritized returning adults, there are fantastic examples through the NCATC network of alignment, dual enrollment programs with high schools, and promotion of career exploration in the multitude of advanced technology occupations and fields, to really do just that. And that's rural to urban and everything in between. But I really appreciate your comments there and emphasizing just the awareness and the exploration of different opportunities and connections to local employment. So thanks for answering that question. I want to come back to your advanced technology programs at both of your institutions. And we talked about the elements of the program, if that's the faculty expertise, the alignment of curriculum to local industry standards and competencies. I know colleges also have done a lot of work to provide resources and supports to students to help them get to those meaningful credentials, the certifications, the degree, and employment. And so I wanted to ask each of you, and maybe start with Kristen, what resources and supports from your respective colleges have been or were most helpful to you in enrolling right off the bat, persisting in your studies, completing the program, and or gaining employment in your field?
So I'm going to touch both on Southwestern Oregon and then Machinist Institute. They both have provided a lot of support, and in me getting my degree or finishing the program I'm in now. So starting with Southwestern, it was easy for me because I was a person who's working all the time in the retail, and then I had my son as well, and was just trying to live life. I was able to go online and just sign up for all these things, and that was a really good resource in that aspect. And they also provided low cost materials with industry partners for the like tools you would need for welding. So that was really awesome. And then going into Machinist Institute, they provide every single little thing you could need for the classroom portion. So we in rural Coos Bay don't generally have like big CNC machines that aerospace would use or big production companies would use. So they provided a CNC simulator for both mill and lathe operations. And then we take classes and do like all the computer mastercam coding and everything like that. And so they provided all those programs and the simulator. And when we do have projects, they provide all the material. And also they provide great support. So I've been able to go to them and ask them questions as well about my industry.
So it sounds like really solid experiences and supports from both SWAC and the welding program and Machinist Institute in terms of the low cost materials or the CNC, the equipment needed, and just being available for you as an apprentice, as a student, and really meeting students where they're at. So having a busy work schedule, so sort of accommodations, adaptability there. Um, so yeah, that's helpful to hear, and it's um, positive to hear that both Southwestern and Machinist Institute are able to really meet students with busy schedules and also address some of the costs, which we know is such a significant challenge for most students in
Yeah.
terms of the welding equipment or tools or uniform, well, all of that stuff that's needed. So appreciate your thoughts there. And April wanted to ask you the same question in terms of resources and supports from Virginia Peninsula Community College.
So, one of the things I appreciate most about VPCC is that I never felt like I had to navigate the journey alone. When I decided to go back to school, I was already working full time at the shipyard. Like many community college students, I wasn't just a student. I was also an employee, a mother, and someone balancing a lot of responsibilities. So for me, one of the greatest supports wasn't a single office or program, it was the people. From the beginning, my professors created an environment where I felt comfortable asking questions and growing. They understood that many of their students were balancing work and family, but they still challenged us to do our best. They didn't lower expectations, they helped us reach them. That combination of high standards and genuine encouragement gave me confidence. Another support that has been incredibly meaningful is the opportunity to serve as a presidential ambassador. When I first became involved, I thought I was simply representing the college. What I didn't realize was how much that experience would shape me personally and professionally. It gave me opportunities to develop my leadership skills, strengthen my communication, and represent students in conversations with community leaders and elected officials. Those experiences helped me grow in ways that can't be measured by grades alone. I've also appreciated how connected the college is to the industry. As someone who's already working in advanced manufacturing, I've been able to see how what I'm learning relates to the workforce and where those skills can take me. That connection between education and real careers keep the work meaningful because when you can see the purpose behind what you're learning, it makes it more streamlined for you. If I had to summarize what has helped me persist, I'd say it's this. I've always felt that Virginia Peninsula Community College believed in my potential, whether it was a professor encouraging me, a leadership opportunity pushing me outside of my comfort zone, like this webinar, or classmates supporting one another. I was surrounded by people who wanted to see me succeed. I think that's what community colleges do well. They don't just teach students, they invest in people. They recognize that every student's path is different, and they create an environment where you feel challenged, supported, and empowered to keep moving forward. That has made all the difference in my journey.
Thank you, April, as well. And so reassuring to hear both of you share the supports that your college has offered and really being there um, and recognizing students are bringing a lot to their community college experience in terms of working, being a parent, juggling a lot, and also that most students are stepping into a new industry or coming with different related or different experiences and um, really encouraging students, challenging students, as you said, not lowering any expectations, but really recognizing that students do have other elements, other identities that are as important. Um, and I'm really glad, I was just thinking as you both were talking, I'm really glad that NCATC is recording this because I think it's a good reminder of what colleges do well and where there still is opportunity for colleges to really be student-centered and understand the different realities that students have and how to be there as faculty, staff, and administrators, and those strong connections to employers, as you both touched on. So thanks to both of you for sharing your thoughts on the resources and supports that have been most valuable. I wanted to ask one last question and then we'll open it up. And I see there's already one question in the chat box, but this is really just to learn, getting to know both of you more from this conversation. I hope the participants, but what the next step is for each of you on your education and or career journey. And could start with you, April.
So right now, my immediate goal is to complete my Associates of Applied Science in Information Systems Technology. And every class is helping me build a stronger foundation, and I'm excited to continue developing the technical skills that will prepare me for the next stage of my career. And as I look ahead, I want to combine the experience that I've learned from working in the industry with the education I'm receiving in technology. Working at the Newport News Shipbuilding has shown me how essential technology is to everyday how essential it is to the everyday organization, and how it operates in the logistics and cybersecurity and all of that. I'd love to continue growing in my role where I can help solve problems, improve processes, contribute to the industry, and that's constantly evolving. I also know that learning won't stop when I earn my degree. I want to do apprenticeships and learn more from those different people in the industry because I know technology is constantly changing and evolving. I'm actually working on getting into an apprenticeship program. They're building like some kind of cyber car that's going to have all this cool stuff in it. I want to be a part of it so bad. So hopefully I get to do that. But yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really exciting. And I know in your area, their apprenticeships are pretty robust, right? With the Newport News shipbuilding and a variety of occupations and pathways. And so glad to hear that that's something you're looking at and see the opportunities and value there. And Kristen wanted to ask you the same question.
So my next steps are to continue my education. I'm going to be doing that my whole career. It's just something I like to do to continue to learn. I'll probably be working with SWAT quite a bit. Um, one thing I want to say is that my apprenticeship right now is a 4-year apprenticeship, but for my type of trade, it takes 10 to 15 years to actually see everything and learn everything. And you can't even say you learned everything at that point. So it's ever changing and evolving, hence my desire to continue my education on and on and on throughout my career. Um, and I think I'm going to stick here with Kuntz for quite a bit of my career and just continue to learn and promote our trade. And yeah, that's my interest right now.
That's great and exciting to hear about as well, and feel like there's common threads from both of your comments of again, lifelong learning and continuing to grow and develop skills. And I hope as a small part of that too, just selfish plug here, that you'll continue to share your community college and apprenticeship story in spaces like this, because I think it's incredibly valuable for college leaders and policymakers to hear and understand it, understand what's working, and really ground policies, systems, programmatic decisions based on student experiences and insights. As Craig talked about, students being the most important stakeholder in our world. So I just wanted to thank you both for sharing so much here. It is incredibly inspiring again, and I think just have a minute or two for questions. I saw if that worked, Craig. Are we good there? Okay. I saw there was a question from Tony, and hoping, Tony, I can just read it. If you had a piece of advice for your younger self, maybe middle school or high school age, what would that be? And feel free to chime in, either of you, April or Kristen.
Mine's pretty simple. Just keep trying, keep going. Because in my younger self, I went through a lot of different life experiences. And there were a lot of times when I just gave up and stayed stuck in a rut. And that's one thing that this career has taught me, is just to keep going, because it's hard in the beginning. It's going to be hard, but just keep going.
Thanks for sharing that.
And I would piggyback off of that. I would just tell my younger self to keep going. You don't have an age limit. There's no deadline. Like, your journey is going to be your journey. Like, this person might get their degree in 4 years. It might take you longer because you're going to have a curveball here and there, and that's okay. Like, there's no defined line that you have to walk. And you don't have to do the traditional things. You can you can be a machinist, you know. You can be a woman that works in ventilation at the shipyard. Like, those are things you can do. So that's what I would, like I said, just piggybacking off of Kristen. Same thing.
That's great. Thank you, April. So wasn't sure if there were any other questions. Looks like Richard has one.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for being part of this. I learned so much from you. Very inspired. Um, April, you had said that the college believed in your potential. I love that phrase, because I feel that that's what community colleges are all about. You know, connecting with the community, and then saying to our community, we believe in your potential, and then helping them reach their potential. So what are some of the things, April, that you feel the community college did to help you understand that you had potential, and supported you in reaching your potential?
So the one thing for sure that really helped me, like, really streamline that I wanted to do information systems technology, they had like this test that you could take on on a certain part of their website, and it kind of like told you what skills you would be best at. And I kept leaning more towards like the technology, cybersecurity. And I was like, oh, I'll see what this is about. And like I said, I was always the go-to person at work. So when I went into the advisement office, like, I was nervous, but the advisors, they laid out a whole program for me. They put it step by step for me. And that's what gave me the confidence. I'm like, I can do this, and I can do this as an adult. I can do this as a parent. So that to me is what put that in my mind, is that, they already had a plan. Like, they had a plan for me and they catered it towards me. So it was like, how could I lose in a situation if I just follow these steps? And then being able to have that cybersecurity certificate, and it's like running right along with my degree that I'm earning, I'm like, how can I lose? And then, like, with that cybersecurity certificate, if I really wanted to right now, I can go find a job, and it might be like lower level or something like that, but I could start in that career while I'm still in school. So I think that's why I say, they really inspired and believed in me, because they did not let off of me. It was like I saw the math and I was like, oh no. And they're like, you got this, you got this. And so I stuck with it. And I'm glad that I did.
Thanks, April and Richard, for the question. I know we're getting short on time, Craig, so I wanted to pass it back to you. And I guess one last thing, just wanted to thank April and Kristen again for giving your time and sharing your expertise for this conversation.
Absolutely. I just can't say enough, more than you've already said and others. If we were to take everything April and Kristen said today and boil it down into four really top points, it would be our strategic pillars at NCATC. They start with emerging technology as the number one. Industry 4.0, 5.0, everything that we know is continually growing. Work-based learning, which is the apprenticeship and internships, is number two. Number three is industry recognized credentials. We love to have those stackable and weave into the degrees and even employer recognized. And the last one, you both said it out loud in the first 5 minutes, lifelong learning. Those are our four pillars at NCATC, and you both exemplify that to the nth degree. So I actually have cold chills repeating that and knowing what you just said. I can't wait to go back and watch you talk about this three more times in this week, because you really hit all the cylinders. I have a friend online. I have several friends online with this webinar. One of them is in Texas, Vera Lewis Jasper's name there, and she and I worked at Cuyahoga Community College together for about 7 or 8 years. And I'll tell you, April and Kristen, you remind me both of her when I knew her a few decades ago. But one of the taglines from Tri-C, as they call Cuyahoga Community Colleges, is invest in people. And I think April said that early on. That is a tagline, and that's what they stand for. So you really summed up what we're trying to do, and I really applaud all that you've talked about and the experience that industry getting closer with the college and education. I just want to say that's what we're trying to do every day, is get college administrators and faculty to really reach down into the industry and get to have those relationships stronger with not only the employers, but the students and the employers, employees that work there for lifelong learning. So that's me in a nutshell. Anybody else would like to chime in for the last 30 seconds before we wrap up? Anybody? Richard?
It's Vera. I
Oh,
just want to
Vera, yeah.
say kudos to these young ladies to be able to come to this forum and talk about their journey and the success that they're having. I am happy for you. I wish both of you the best of everything. And thank you and Marc for bringing this. When I saw it, I said I had to jump in and listen to this. So thank you so much.
I knew if you were on, you would be feeling the same way I was. So thank you for that. Richard, did you have a closing comment?
Again, just applause, applause, applause. I hope both of you take from this that from industry experts, which we are, you are amazing. And, as we said, we also believe in your potential. And not only do we believe in it, we see it and you're doing it. So keep that confidence up and keep on striving for the next thing that you want to do in life, because it's all attainable and you have the keys. Now you just got to turn the lock.
Yeah, bravo. Marc, thank you so much. You never cease to amaze me in your ability to find students like April and Kristen over the last 5 or so years with us, and we want to keep this going. So thank you for that, Marc. Thank you, April and Kristen, so much, and thanks everybody for being here. I know we're over, but we'll get this recording up on our website and out on LinkedIn in the next 5 days. So look for it. Thank you again. Bye for now.